Hello, I'm making this video late at night because I'm very distressed and I need to warn people about the Church of England. Um, if you're a part of the Church of England, you should leave it today as soon as possible. Um, it is not a Church of God and is led by the devil, quite frankly. And I know there is some sort of division going on in terms of theology, but it's all the same. And I will share my personal testimony because I love Jesus and I love people, and I think people should know what happened to my family and my children, specifically um, at the Church of England. I'm going to start by saying this: the Church of England has been covering up sexual abuse for many years. It's been on the news. They've done investigations, inquiries, which are ongoing. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the Archbishop of Canterbury had to resign because of a cover up of abuse, and they haven't replaced him since. Nevertheless, these things don't really affect people until it happens to them. So I was attending a Church of England church that was conservative, um, mostly conservative anyway, um, thinking that it was a good thing. Ultimately, I don't belong to any denomination. I believe that I'm a born again believer. And my church that I was going to since January was following Reformed theology. And they recommended this company called CPAS, if I'm not mistaken, where I could send my children on a holiday camp there amongst Christians. And I thought that it would be a safe place for them. In fact, I had not even one doubt in my mind that it wouldn't be the case. I trusted them with my kids for 5 days. When I picked up my son today, he disclosed to me that he was left in a dormitory with 7 or 6 other boys with no adult supervision, with the door shut, where every night he was subjected to exposure of sexual abuse from one particular child there towards other children, which ranged from pantsing, as he calls it, pulling down trousers and pants continually, to fellatio that he witnessed another child in making another child do that, as well as touching and sodomy. And we are talking about children who are prebutient. They haven't even reached teenage years. And this happened all while the doors were shut every night and children were left in their own devices. Now, when my son found out, I was horrified, as you can imagine. I was thankful that he wasn't subjected to this and he chose to not take part in this. I believe my son is a born again believer, and so I thank God for that. However, afterwards, when I contacted the organization and I forwarded them the message that my son had wrote detailing the abuse, they responded, and I told them as well that I was very tempted to call the police. They responded to me and say, "Oh, wait, we'll call our consultants." And I told the lady, the safeguarding officer of the camp, that I needed somebody to call me today. It was urgent. I understand she couldn't call me right away, but she said to me that she would call me. Well, she never said she would call me actually, but she said she would call these consultants at 4 p.m. She never called me since. She never did. And when I told my pastor and I forwarded the messages, and I did ask to meet him, my pastor from the Church of England, I wanted to meet him to discuss. He didn't arrange a meeting. He said, oh, just speak to them. And when I forwarded a message that I sent to the lady who was a safeguarding officer in this holiday camp run by the Church of England, he just, and I basically said that I want to, I'm tempted to call the police. I did not, hold back, and wait till they speak to the consultants. And I called a family member in distress, and I told them I'm going to wait for them to call me. And this family member said, why are you waiting? Call the police straight away. And that's exactly what I did. And the police came within less than 3 hours to take a statement in person from my son. And guess what? Neither the organization from the Church of England nor my pastor called me. And more well in the organization, the safeguarding officer who wanted to seek advice from the safeguarding consultants, they never called me. They never did, because they don't care. And it's a cover-up. I've worked in safeguarding and I've worked in social care for many years previously. And I know one thing, that if you are working in this field as well as the police, you have to write up reports within 24 hours. And you should speak to victims immediately, because things get forgotten. If something happens to me today, I'll probably forget the details within a matter of hours and days. And then I can maybe even, my memory can even get mixed up with other things. And so, there was nothing of that. Now it's the weekend, they don't care. And imagine, this child, maybe he was just out of his own mind, wanting to do, and there was 3 children involved in these things to one another. But what if they're being sexually abused themselves at home and they are copying this behavior? What if they're doing this to their siblings? What if they're doing this to the other kids? What about the other parents? Shouldn't they find out straight away what has happened? And today I realized that the Church of England covers up sexual abuse, and they advised me not to call the police, basically. There was no urgency, and there was nothing, no care for my child. No one said, are you okay? Is your son okay? No one cared. And I would urge anybody to leave the Church of England today. I wanted to give us the chance, because I thought I'd found a good church, and I've been to different churches over the years, but it is not a good church. It is not an institution that anybody should go to. It's dead. There won't be any revival there, and it's done. And yes, I believe there are born-again believers, but I believe, as we see in the news, as in my experience today, they cover up sexual abuse. Your children wouldn't be safe in a Christian holiday camp run by them. They wouldn't be safe in a Church of England school, where perhaps they even teach gender ideology, and they would even fire you if you speak out against it. But the most important thing, without deviating, is this, the fact that that's what they did to my son, with no care. They care more about their reputation, and they care more about keeping things hushed. But I am a child of God, and I speak for righteousness, and this is why, even though there are no videos on our channel, all our previous videos are hidden, and I may look very tired, but I felt like I have a duty to let people know that this is what happened to me. And if you watch this, I advise you to leave the Church of England immediately.